Hey everyone, welcome to the Working Dirt channel. I'm Joel, and in today's video, we finally get around to installing our suspension brackets from TeraFlex, and then we custom fabricate a third member suspension bracket for the front of our LJ. We also talk about a couple welding options, and we experiment with using zinc weld through primers. So to find out how that stuff performs, then stay tuned. Christmas time. We have our new brackets and frame rail support. So as you can see right here, we got the flame flipped over, and B Diddy's getting it all good, getting ready for weld. And we're gonna put on a weld through primer on all the areas that the brackets are gonna go, and then we'll weld them on, and then clean it up and get ready for either a spray paint job or a powder coating paint job. We'll see, but we don't want to slow down. Brian, is it going okay?
Yeah,
no, you can make noise, man. This is a shop. Alright, so we have two welding options here. This is my tried and true 180 HD Lincoln welder that you can get from Home Depot. And I've just borrowed my friend's 252 Miller-Matic. So that I can actually handle the beef and get a larger duty cycle to weld these brackets on the frame. And the thing is this is 1/4 inch plate being welded to 1/8 inch frame here, but this guy, the Lincoln Electric, he can only weld basically 1/8 inch metal using the MIG status, or you can use a flux core wire, and it says it can go up to 1/2 inch plate, 3/8, 1/4, yeah. But as we all know, flux core is not the prettiest of welding options, but I just wanted to share this because I know there's some of the guys out there that doesn't have, they don't have the friend that could lend them a 252 Miller-Matic, you know? Anyone can probably get the flux core welders. You can pick them up for as cheap as like $100 on Craigslist and be able to weld stuff as thick as 3/8 or 1/2 inch metal. And there's a little trick to using it or whatever, but it's definitely doable. So I'm gonna show you a little weld on the brackets using the flux core, and then I'll show you the welds using the MIG. So I'm looking forward to it because this is the first time I'll be using this, but and if I like it, I might be buying my own, so stick around. Okay, we're about to get started here. The first thing I want to say is you know, there's a couple of guys out there. You got your quick and dirty guys who just weld stuff together and it'll hold. Other guys you got working with white gloves, and they really want to do a pristine job. And I think here at Working Dirt, we like float right in the middle. So one of those examples is right now when we're welding these brackets on to the frame, there's going to be situations where metal's lapping metal, and a lot of times guys will clean the metal both sides and then they'll weld just the edge, which leaves bare metal untreated in between the pieces of metal, and then you get rust that can form there. Or let's say you just primer in between and then you weld, then there could be some burnt paint in there, and who knows, you know, how that's going to hold up over a test of time. And so what we're going to do here is use zinc weld through primer. This is from Napa. It's like 80% cheaper than the 3M brand, but we're going to see how well it works. And the reviews out there say, you know, some lifetime welders say, yeah, you know what, zinc primer's the way to go, just weld right through it. Others will say, no, man, it gives you a worse weld, or it'll be porous and it's not gonna be as strong. And so I think it matters per application what you're gonna do this for. But for me, I've always been curious about it, so this is my first time trying it out. And so right now I got a sample piece that I've welded some pieces to. We have a 1/4 inch steel plate on the bottom with a 3/16 pieces of metal on it. And I started right here welding, and you can see some bubbles from the flux core welder. And this is when I was like trying to tune it in. And of course, you know, a little splatter, It's the tried and true dirty flux core welding that we all despise, but it does the job. And then here I finally got it tuned in and I got some good penetration and it was welding. And right now I got primer over it because I'm about to try welding through the primer. This is welding with no primer on it and I have the metal clean. Now we're gonna try with the primer with the MIG welder and the flux core welder and see which one looks best, feels like it's getting the best penetration. It's time to get dirty. All right, so first up, like I said, we're gonna use this new Millermatic 252 that I got from my buddy to borrow. That'd be a nice gift if you just gave it to me. Now the setting right here, we're gonna use right between 1/4 and 3/16 steel, which says use 21 volts and the line speed of about 375, because we have 30 thousandths wire in here, or 400 line speed. So I think we're actually right where we need to be. So we're gonna try this out. Wow, take a look. I'm actually surprised. Don't look at the left side. I forgot to turn the gas on. You know what happens to you guys too. But I turned the gas on here and it actually came out pretty smooth. I'm really shocked actually, considering you're going through a primer, like I said, but it looks pretty smooth, and that's my first weld of the day, okay? Don't judge it. All right, so I think, yeah, I'm gonna do one more of those, and then we'll fire up the Lincoln welder. We got Lincoln against Miller today. Now we got the 180 HD Lincoln welder with 45 thousandths flux cord wire, and we are gonna try this out right here. Ready?
No.
Ready?
No. Okay.
I held my breath because you don't want to breathe this stuff. Extremely harmful. Wear a mask or have the ventilator up, because the can says very harmful, so don't breathe it. Get a fan on in the background. So there it is, not bad. We gotta discover the beauty now real quick here. It's pretty porous. We're gonna have to try again on the spot. All right, because I wasn't sure which method I was gonna end up adopting over here, I had already primered this frame and then used my little die grinder with the wire wheel and ground right by the brackets so that I can be sure to have the best penetration possible between the bracket and the frame. But then you might be saying, well, that defeats the purpose of having the weld through primer, because the primer is supposed to coat the frame so that nothing rusts. But I think if we're real with ourselves, a little bit of rust is not going to hurt us for probably the lifetime that we own our rigs. But we do want to continue to explore best practices here with welding and fabrication. So I think I'm actually going to weld through the primer and not continue to do this method so that I could have a clean frame that's protected. But since I have these already ground here, I'll go ahead and weld them. So I think it's time to get busy, start welding. All right, Brian's got the long arm brackets welded on, and we're about to get ready for the lower link brackets. And now he's mocking up a little gusset to go in here, and we'll get started. My TeraFlex kit didn't come with a larger third member bracket to fit my monster 2.5 inch Heim joint. It came with a bracket that would fit, I think it's an 1 3/4 Heim joint. And while I would like to use smaller Heim joints and a smaller third member tube, I'm gonna stay on budget and reuse the old tube and Monsterheim joint. And here you see me fabricating the new bracket out of 1/4 inch box tube, and I'm drilling the holes for the different height settings for fine-tuning adjustments when I set my axle in. I think the top hole is gonna work out fine, but I wanted the extra two just in case. And I'm welding it up here, as you see. And I'll also be talking about that other welder you see in the background, so stay tuned for that. The other miller had to go back to my friend. What we're doing right now is taking the weight off the straps because they had it tied to this third member, and now I can remove this bolt because I want to see if they used a nut, or most likely they threaded this bolt into this piece of steel, like they just threaded it right in. I don't think there's a nut on the back side because of space requirements, so we're gonna see. Yeah. So I use a 1/2 inch drive socket because that's a lot of torque. Now hopefully there's not much pressure on the axle. This third member keeps the axle from rocking forward and backwards. Most likely it'll just fall into this little pocket. Nice and oiled. So what we need to do, we have this hole here, and we need to create that same threaded hole. They actually, I think, welded on a nut on the back side of this metal, because see how far it goes in? This is just a plate, so I think they welded a nut that already had the threads on it. So what I need to do is, on our bracket, this is gonna go right there, and we need to drill and thread a hole to go in there. And they also boxed it in so you can't see it right here. They did extra reinforcement, and I can add gusseting, which is more support plates in different places to hold this nice and strong. My thought right now is I can actually drill a hole and then put a nut on the backside. Yeah, and I can weld a nut right here to hold it.
Why did they give you 3?
Oh, it's nice because if you want to change the geometry of your axle, yeah, how it performs in different situations. If you're because your steering, when you go to do a three-link suspension system on the front of your Jeep, depending on everything, your tires, the lift, your geometry is going to create steering issues that are favorable and unfavorable in different situations on the trail and off the trail. So, to answer your question, to have different positions to counter the camber or casting, which is the front, your axle rocking forward or backwards, it can change all that. So that's why you have different height positions. I was happy with the way it was. Yeah. So I think I'll just do that. Now what we'll do is we're going to use what's called a center punch. Let me show you. To transfer.
Oh, you can get nice and straight.
Correct. Concentric, which is parallel to so it's dead center of your hole. I'm visually looking, it looks center. Let's do that. You cool with that? Right there. You see it right there?
Oh yeah.
See it in there? Alright, so now move a bunch of crap. Do the shop shuffle. That's a good shirt. The shop shuffle. Every guy can relate to that. Okay. Smaller drill bits have to go faster. Bigger drill bits go slower. So we adjusted our pulleys so that our speed is now about 1440. I never want to start in a workpiece how we were, but I only had a certain depth of throw on this thing,
Yeah.
so I'm forced to, which is unsafe.
Right.
So we always gotta be careful. That's why I clamped and extra support. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this episode. Stay tuned for the next one where we're going to talk about which motor option we went with, and we're going to be installing our motor mount brackets, so you'll get to see how we do that. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for your viewership. It helps our channel support veterans, trails, and charities each quarter. Thanks a lot. Get to work. Let's go.